Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Stretch It Out podcast.
And the beat hits.
Taking it back old school because we're completely out of intros. Welcome back.
Hope everyone's doing great this week.
Welcome back. Episode 20. Episode 20. Yay, yay.
That's pretty awesome. 20 episodes?
That's pretty cool, I think.
Like, if you would have told me on episode 1, like, yeah, we're going to do 20 episodes, I would have been like, God, that's so much work. But now I'm like, yeah, we did 20 episodes. I feel like we just started this 2 weeks ago.
Right. I know. 20. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. We've grown a lot in the last 19 episodes too. We've learned a lot from so many cool people too, and all the feedback we've been getting from everybody. So it's been a nice little 20 episode journey. So thanks to all the listeners for that. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love and the support.
This is our first mile marker.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. So what are we talking about today?
Maybe some people didn't see the title, but we're going to talk about how to be grateful.
Yes.
I think everybody could use
huge.
this.
I need it right now. And I know because Courtney's going to be listening and she's shaking her head right now. She's going, yes, he needs it. Got you, babe. We're working on it. Yeah, how to be great at being grateful.
Yes. Nick, what is the definition of grateful?
Oh, it's funny you asked because I actually looked it up. And it is warmly or deeply appreciative of kindness or benefits received. Thankful. That is the definition of grateful, according to, I think that's like dictionary.com, I believe.
You looked it up on dictionary.com, or did you just Google it and it comes up?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I Googled it and I think the definition I got was from dictionary.com.
Isn't it kind of fun when you like look up a word on Google? Because I look up all the time like definitions on words or like a synonym, just like other ways to say the words. And I'm constantly
having to do that.
I love seeing the actual definition because it's like we know the definition, but when you read the actual definition, it's like, oh, okay.
No, yeah, it's for me. It's usually I thought I knew the definition, and then I go, well, been using that word wrong for the last 35 years. That's why I don't look words up. Just want to keep that confidence, when I'm talking. I want to sound like I know what I'm talking. I'm totally kidding. I do the same thing. I like to look up the words. I like to look up words that I'm like, how do I say that? And then listen to it. And I like to do it while I'm reading a book, which is usually at night. And it's sometimes after Courtney has fallen asleep. So it's awesome. So she'll just hear, strange words said by my phone. I'm sure she enjoys waking up to those.
She suddenly dreams of those words. I had the strangest dream last night.
Yeah, poor Courtney. Wow. Anyway. So talking about gratitude, like I said, real talk, I've been struggling with it, I think, my whole entire life. I've been working on it a lot more here recently, probably more than ever. But to give you kind of an example of how my struggles, let's say, with gratitude, I think if I'm mature enough to take the situation that I'm in, or, whatever it is, that moment that I'm able to say, okay, I'm clearly not, I don't have the right perspective or I don't have the right attitude. And usually it's because I don't have the proper level of gratitude. Right. And it's usually when I feel, and it's hard for most of us to admit this. This is a tough pill to swallow, but for me, it's whenever I feel like I deserve better. Okay. So, and don't take that the wrong, it's hard because when I say that, I think that come out the wrong way, but that's when I fail to really be grateful. And that's when it's, it can wreak havoc on my perspective altogether, like on life, right? Because now I start to feel it's almost like we've talked about before, almost like that victim mentality takes over where I'm kind of like now I'm throwing a temper tantrum
Yeah.
because something isn't going my way, right? So that's me not telling myself hey, be grateful that for all the things that you have. That's me going, hey, you're super tied up on something stupid. Here's a really good example. Okay. I was doing some yard work. Courtney's going to totally like die laughing because and it was like basic, like I don't do yard work. Okay. Um, I'm not a yard work guy.
We were in
Right.
years of training. How do you not do yard work, Nick?
I don't. I don't do yard work. I avoid it. Right. Not like super bad, but if it's like basic yard work, I don't do it. Like I would rather pay to have somebody do my yard. It's just not my thing. Right. And I had to do some yard work because I couldn't get some certain things done by my yard guy. So I was like, well, I'll just do it myself. And I was kind of like in my mind, I was getting really frustrated and like certain things weren't going my way. And I like to have things in order. And so like I quickly went from like grown ass man to little child throwing temper tantrum. And my point is, I mean, maybe it's a stupid story, right? To kind of tell you how I struggle, and this is just one kind of example, but my point is it was just so easy for me to just quickly put myself into the category of I deserve better than what I'm going through right now. Like I deserve, better tools or even going to the point where I shouldn't be doing this right now. Right. Like how many times have you said that I shouldn't be doing this right now?
Yeah.
That's a good example of what I'm trying to get to. How many times have you said that I should not be doing this right now? Or yeah, hey, that's not my job. So that it's weird, like saying something like that in my mind at some point, right? Like I shouldn't be doing this, or why do I have to do this? Right. Saying something like that, so childish in my mind. And more importantly, buying into it just sent me, you know, to a world of hurt. I didn't, plan for that. Obviously it was stupid, and we're all human. I think we're all going to have our moments. And, I'm embarrassed to have to admit that, I get real, kind of selfish over stupid things. I'm fortunate that I was able to eventually check myself and really correct my perspective and then go, whoa, like that was stupid. Like, what the heck? And the whole time I should have had a attitude of gratitude and been more like, wow, I'm so fortunate that I have a yard that I get to work on. Like, how cool is that? Right? Could
I
you
like your
imagine
phrase. Attitude
what?
of gratitude. Change my attitude of gratitude.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, think about that. And I even went as far as like going to the point where I'm like, man, thinking about it, there is somebody out there, there's plenty out there, that have less than what I have. Right. And if they could sit there and watch me kick and scream about having to do some yard work, wow, that's right. Wow,
Mm-hmm.
like shame on me, right? For even having those thoughts. And seriously, shame on me for that. And I think I'll touch on a little bit more a little bit later, kind of how it can come back to bite us, right? The lack of gratitude can really come back to bite us. It's actually, in a lot of ways, the path of least resistance is to have an attitude of gratitude, is to be grateful, right? And life is probably better that way, is my point. But I'll talk a little bit more about that. But what about you? I'm sure you've got an example of times you've struggled with gratitude, or maybe here lately.
I mean, I think for mine, maybe I'm not wording this right or something. Like I said, guys, I'm really great when it comes to typing and writing, but when it comes to speaking, I'm not always the
You're
best.
also fantastic.
So,
You're also fantastic at that. So
thank y'all.
remember that self-talk. Remember that
Thank
self-talk.
y'all. um, but I think like my being grateful, like I struggle with it because I'm not always grateful, and it's not that like when I say I'm not being grateful, it's not so much of being hateful or negative. Okay. In
Right.
the doc here, I got Linda, listen. Remember that little kid when he did that? Listen, Linda.
I don't. What was it from? I don't remember.
It was a YouTube video. It was the cutest little kid. He's like, listen,
Oh, I
Linda.
do kind of remember. It was like viral.
Yeah. He's this cute little kid. He's like, Linda, listen.
I think I do remember that. Yes, yes.
That's what I'm saying, guys. Listen to this. So, okay, so um, my example is materialistic things. I think a lot of people can be ungrateful for materialistic things. I know for a fact, and I'm sorry to Dad and Elaine for always being ungrateful growing up, especially with the iPod. So sorry about that, and thank you for getting me the iPod.
Wow.
um, but for anybody who does know me, I'm definitely like I always do 110%. I'm always a dedicated worker, and I work my butt off for multiple reasons. One, to kind of boost my ego and just kind of show myself off to other people, right? To show people that
Wow.
I can do it. And
Right.
then two, the other one is like if I want something, if there's something materialistically that I want, I'm gonna work my butt off to get to it, right? So I guess my mindset is just like, okay, work, 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 save up, get what I want, and then it's like, okay, now I want a new goal. So now instead of the new MacBook Pro, now I want a brand new car, a BMW or
Oh,
something, you
I
know?
get it. I get it. So like that's what you meant by saying like materialistic.
Yes. Like, well, yeah, it's materialistic. Who doesn't want the new AirPods? I want the new AirPods. But
Right,
that's
right. I totally get that.
right. Like that's my mentality. It's like, okay, I want something, I got to work harder for it, right? And I'm not being hateful of like, oh, I don't have that. I don't have anybody else to blame if I don't have that. But what I mean is, I work my butt off to get the things that I want, but I'm completely oblivious to the like people who will probably never have those materials that I have. So I guess I'm like in a neutral thing.
Right?
Does that make sense? Am I saying this correctly, guys? Help me
I'm
out
getting
here.
it. You made me think of something. But keep going.
Oh, you're are you going in the dock? But that's what it is. So it's like I become unaware. I'm so self-involved with myself that to me it's like, oh, it's the norm. Everybody's got the new AirPods. Oh, it's the norm. Everybody's got a brand new car, or everybody's got um, even something similar, something small, which was it kind of opened my eyes. I thought, everyone's got a king size bed, but then when you stop and you really stop and look at all the things that are for me personally in my life, there's a lot of people in this world who don't have the materialistic things that I have. And and honestly, I love traveling because I love seeing like different cities and different cultures and all that stuff, And a lot of times
Right.
when I do travel, that does remind me where I'm like, oh gosh, like look at how this family lives. Like, okay, example, people in New York, their apartments are so small, like my bed would never fit in that, so they have to sleep on like small beds.
Right.
you know,
Interesting. Yeah.
oh yeah, their apartments are so small, and so shout out to anybody in New York. Kudos to you guys. Or just in other countries, that it makes me take a step back and look at all the things that I have that are in my life that help me remind me to be grateful that I'm able to work, 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 save, get the things I want, and then work harder and reach for the next goal. Because a lot of times there's people out there who they don't have that opportunity to work, 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 and save. They
Right.
work, 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 survive.
Right. Most of us.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess that's my struggle is I often forget to just be grateful.
Like, yeah. And because you were talking about how you are with material things, I thought of, and I don't know if I heard this somewhere before, and I might be, if I did, I'm paraphrasing at best, but if you can't be grateful for what you have now today,
Hmm.
then I don't think you're going to know how to be grateful for what you're going to have later.
Exactly.
And I'm, it's that really is very uh what am I trying to say? That's really kind of spot on for me too. Like I'm that way too. In uh, I hate to have to bring it up, but RC cars. Okay, RC cars is it's it can be a very expensive hobby, and I hate to say that because it's like every hobby is expensive
Yeah.
these days. But RC cars can be an expensive hobby, and I have to, as a father and a husband, right? I have to prioritize my the funds appropriately, right? And
Hmm.
can't have my kids wearing shoes with no soles and crap clothes, and I'm out there with a really nice RC setup at the races, you know,
Yeah.
looking all good. That just doesn't make sense, right? My priorities are jacked up, right? I definitely would need some help in the corrective perspective world. But if, I'm always kind of in that same place as you are there, but just in that hobby in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Like I always want the next thing. I can't wait to get this next thing. I can't wait to whatever it is. And it's all just play for me, right? It's all play for me. It's not even something that's gonna, it's not gonna benefit me in any way, right? Like financially or anything in life. It's not doing any of that, but it's important to me, right? It's just my playtime. So I get that. In that part of my life, I'm very much always after that next thing. And so I can relate
Yeah.
in a lot of ways,
And it's
right?
like, it's funny that the way that you said it, that like hit everything. What is it? Hit the nail on the hammer hit the nail, whatever that
That's
saying
right.
is. Because I know people too that are maybe a little bit more drastic with that scenario that I'm talking about. Is like they want more and more and more, and they work harder to get more. And I think sometimes that's a. I don't want to necessarily say it's a bad mentality. You have to keep it within balance,
Absolutely.
because I mean you always want to set yourself goals. Like that's something. It's always me just setting a new goal.
Yes.
But a lot of times I know, a lot of people in this world that a lot of them friends that even though they're working so hard to hit that next goal, they're not once they hit that goal, they're not even happy for that long of a time. They're happy for maybe 10 minutes and then it's on to the next one. So that to me is a red flag of like, okay, yeah, you need to stop and maybe sit back and reevaluate all the things that you do have and be happy for that.
Yeah.
And don't be upset if you don't reach that next goal within the time frame that you set.
Right. Right. I like it.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple tips. We've got 3 tips.
Yeah.
3 tips to give to our listeners, our friends and family. Thanks again for listening and all your support. But we've got 3 tips for you all. And I'm going to start with tip number 1. Tip number 1, and these are all tips that are to help you be great at being grateful. So our first tip is be in the present, be in the now, right? Be in the moment. And
Yes.
Charles Dickens said it best when he said, reflect upon your present blessings, of which every man has many, not on your past misfortunes, of which all men have some. The second I begin to count my past misfortunes over my current blessings, which I do all the time, I've completely lost, right? Now I'm opening myself up to all kinds of, poison in terms of my perspective, right? So
Yeah.
I think we got to be careful there, right? We all only know what we know and what we've experienced. I don't know everything that you've experienced, Audrey.
Yeah.
You don't know everything that I've experienced, right? I know of some things that you've experienced, right? But not everything. And even the things I know that you've experienced, I don't know how you experienced it.
Yeah.
You experienced it differently, right? We've gone through tragedy, the very same tragedy. And you brought this up on a previous episode, I think. And, when we lost mom, you went through different challenges and different things that I went through there, right? So everybody only knows what you know. You only know what you know. And I
Yeah.
only know what I know. And so for me to even consider for a minute that I've gone through worse than everybody else or worse than those around me, right? For me to even consider that thought is of itself, it's ignorance, in my opinion, right?
Yep.
But
Mhm.
it's easy to think that, right? It's easy to think that, to put yourself in that place. And a lot of times, and again, I can say this because I've done it, right? I'm sure if you're being honest, you've done it, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
in some fashion we've done that. That thought is, crossed my mind where I'm allowing the things that have happened in my past that were, as Charles Dickens put it, misfortunes, the things that sucked, the things that were painful and difficult for me. Um, Instead of carrying that around with me, I need to be looking at my current blessings, right? The things
Yeah.
that are going well right now. And it's, we all do it, I think, to an extent, right? But it's once we've successfully convinced ourselves that we have it worse or we've experienced worse than everybody else, in my opinion, that's when gratitude completely gets removed or gets replaced, right? Ego says out with gratitude,
Yep.
and it ushers in entitlement as its replacement. And that is dangerous. It's so dangerous. And I think all of us, everybody that's human, we all can understand kind of what that feels like. But figure out how to be in the present, how to be in the moment, and look for the small things in the present that you can count as blessings, no
Mhm.
matter how small those things are. Anytime you're doing something you don't really want to be doing, find what it is in that you can count as a blessing. So that's tip number one. You've got tip number two, Audrey.
I do. Tip numero dos. So actually, guys, I kind of struggled with finding a tip, so I went to my best buddy Google,
Good
and
friend of mine too. Good friend of mine.
he's my best friend. Okay, Nick,
Besties.
just besties. Google. I found an article which I actually want to do some further reading on it because it was just turned out to be a great freaking article, guys.
Awesome.
But tip number two is create a gratitude board. And I
What's
love
a
this one,
gratitude board?
right? Let me tell you, Nick, step right up. So, I mean, we all know what a vision board is, right? If you don't, a vision board, I highly believe in vision boards, and I will print out photos, I'll cut out magazines, quotes, anything, and I put it up on my vision board. And what it does is like it's actually a subconscious thing of if you see the same thing every single day, eventually your subconscious is going to work towards that goal. So it's the same thing if we create a gratitude board. So on your gratitude board, you can put things of like photos that maybe, whether it's a material or a person or a situation, you can put photos of it up on your gratitude board to remind you every day of, hey, I'm grateful for this. I'm thankful for this situation or this person in my life. Or maybe it's a quote that helped you get through something really tough in your life that really pertained to you and just resonated. And another big one is I'm somebody who writes letters to myself in the future. I know it sounds weird. It's really not weird. I think it's a normal thing. I write letters to myself from the present to myself in the future to tell myself of like whether it's something traumatic I went through or maybe it was something I was just very excited and happy about and I want to remind myself of that happy moment later on maybe a sad
That's
day
pretty
or
cool,
something.
actually.
You never done that?
Well, I do it. I don't do it with that. That's not the purpose. I journal, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times when I'm journaling, I tend to, I don't know, just take on future me as the person reading it. If that
Uh-huh.
makes sense. So yes, I do sometimes. I'll ask questions to future me, right?
Yep.
Um, and remind myself of where I was at mentally at this place, or remind
Yes.
myself of that epiphany that moment of clarity that I had that day or something.
A great one is
So
actually the whole reason why I started that was because of a breakup a long time ago, like back in like right out of high school.
back in the day.
Yeah, and I wrote myself a letter and just told myself, like you don't want to feel like this ever again, so maybe be a little bit more nitpicky in your selection.
I like.
All right, so put that up on your gratitude board, guys. Nick,
I like it.
What is tip number 3?
Tip number 3. This is a tough one. This is probably going to be the toughest one to swallow this whole episode. And I've got to give a quick little disclaimer. I'm reading a really good book right now. I don't remember the name of the author off the top of my head, but the name of the book is Ego is the Enemy. And
Ego.
Yeah, Lego, my ego. You guys remember those commercials? Those were like the bomb. Let's see. How do I?
What is it you're
Ryan
talking about?
Holiday. Okay.
Oh.
Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And you have to be careful with the word ego because it's a little stingy for some of us, right? But the tip is check your ego. Tip number 3. If you want to live with an attitude of gratitude, you have to be able to check your ego. I've had to say out loud to myself while looking in the mirror, and I'm being 100% honest with you, bro, you need to check that ego. Who's controlling you or who's controlling who here, right?
Yeah.
And you have to check your ego constantly if you're ever truly going to get better at being grateful. You have to check it constantly. Just like we talk about perspective, we have to constantly be checking our perspective. It doesn't matter how old we get, how wise we get, we have to keep that in check. And so that's why I love to read. And I like to read books that can help keep me in check. But even then, I'm struggling constantly. I'm always falling on my face here. And it's really hard to be grateful for the things in life that you should be grateful for when ego's telling you that you deserve better.
Mm-hmm.
Ego's always going to tell you you deserve better and you deserve to not have to do anything to get better. Right? That's all ego. That's all ego. And of course, there's no way I would ever come close to communicating it as well as Ryan Holiday does in this book. So I would highly recommend it. Like I said, I'm reading it now. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way through. And it's just a really great book. So I've taken a lot of notes. And
how big is the book?
I don't know. I don't know how to open that up on my app. So
you got the app going.
I'm on 309 and it goes to 479.
Okay, that's not bad.
Okay. So yeah. So not a super long read, I don't think. But a good book, and I think a great tip for all of us, right? Check the ego. And I told you guys I was going to circle back on something earlier, and I want to do that here. How the lack of gratitude, how that can come back and bite you, right? We've all been there. When we finally realize it, right? We feel terrible. And then what happens? Our self-talk, right? Now our self-talk starts to suffer from our lack of gratitude, right? Because now we're realizing it. We're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. Like, how embarrassing. In other words, it quite literally comes back to bite you, like I said. And it's usually a pretty big blow. It's usually like a huge eye opener where you're like, oh my gosh, it knocks the wind out of you. So my point in saying that again is the path of least resistance is to just figure out how to be grateful. Be intentional about being grateful. Figure out what it is that's making you feel ungrateful in those situations where you're putting yourself kind of on that pedestal, right? I deserve more. I deserve better. figure out a way to just be grateful. And that will help you. Not only will it help you change your perspective, and really it will be very self-serving in the long run for you, because it's just better for you. We're going to be a joy to be around, but more importantly, you're going to be able to help other people, right? I mean, it just opens up a whole new world. And if you allow again, that ego and all that stuff to, kind of creep in, it can be really, really, really damaging. So
I feel like an analogy for when somebody calls you out on like being grateful, and it's kind of like, what it reminds me of is like, about when you look back at a yearbook and you say,
right.
oh God, I can't believe I used to dress like that, or I can't believe I had hair like that.
Right.
I feel like when somebody calls me out for something, whether it was ignorant or being ungrateful, I still, because I mean, I have a lot of those moments where I still look back and I'm like, God, I can't believe I ever thought like that. I can't believe I was so closed-minded,
Yes.
and
It's the
and it's
worst.
still like it's 10 years later, maybe even like 13 years later, and it's still like anytime I think of that one moment when that one person was like, yo, you need to check yourself,
Yeah.
it still hurts. Like I still have that like soft spot where it's like, oh God, they gutted me. And
I know.
it still hurt. It's like when I look back on Facebook, and this is honestly, guys, I'm not the biggest fan of Facebook because I think I posted a lot of things on Facebook that I'm not proud of. Just because I was very ignorant, I was very closed minded and not open minded to other people's situations. I wasn't cautious on the things that I was writing to maybe think that what I was saying was being more offensive than defensive for myself. And so I honestly hate going on Facebook and then it's like, 10 years ago, you said this. And I'm like,
Oh goodness. You're
oh,
like,
so
thanks, Facebook.
and it comes up, I want to say like every other day. And Facebook is a big time contributor to showing me myself how to be grateful.
Nice. Shout out to Facebook.
Yeah, way to go. Thank you, Zuckerman. um, No, that's like a huge one, and that's what it reminds me of, though. It's because I'm never gonna forget those moments. But I'm as much as I hate and ashame those moments, I am grateful for them because I would have never grown so much mentally. I think I still would have been that young, closed-minded person.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
That's some pretty gnarly perspective, right? When you're looking back on you. So that's cool. So awesome. Well, appreciate you sharing that, and hope everybody liked our little tips there. Listen, if you're liking what you're listening to, and especially if you're new here, thanks for checking out the Stretched Out podcast. We're super, super glad you stopped by. Would you show us some love and support? If you're listening on YouTube, give us a like, subscribe. Why not hit the notification bell? If you catch us on Facebook, Instagram, give us a like, give us a share, send us a message. Right? We're, really we just want to help out, right? That's what we love to do. We're super, super passionate about helping people grow by practicing what we call corrective perspective. Um,
Corrective.
and so, we love this. We enjoy it. It's fun. We want to do it for as long as we can. Also, if you're interested in joining us as a guest, or if you have a question, like I said, or anything like that, just send us a message and we'd love to hear from you. Audrey, anything else?
I kind of want to say stay tuned, guys, because Nick and I are
All
eventually
right.
going to adventure into the video realm. Huh?
This is true.
I'm excited for it. Hopefully, by next week, I'm waiting for some things to align in my personal life to be able to do this. I wish you guys could see my hands right now because I am speaking with my hands. Um, that's why we need a video. But we're definitely working towards that. And I'm excited for it because then you guys get to see me in my quarantine pajamas.
It's going to be awesome.
That's all I got. I want to give a shout out just to all the listeners, as always, still waiting for Ireland, just waiting for Ireland to catch up in these episodes and
Awesome.
message us.
Come on, Ireland.
Maybe I'll put up like a Q&A on social media, and you guys can maybe write in some things that you want us to talk about, because like we said, we're here for you guys, as well as Nick and myself. But I want to hear some things of like maybe what you guys are going through, or maybe you guys are going through something and we just want some feedback. We're here for you. We won't put your name on blast or anything, but maybe something that you're going through, there could be somebody else that is going through the same thing, and both of you guys could use some corrective perspective. So
we all need it. We all need it.
I need it every day, guys. Every day.
Trust me, we all do. So, all right. Well, hey, thanks again, everyone, for checking us out and hanging out with us in Podcastland. We love Podcastland.
Yeah.
It's my favorite places to go to every week.
That's Wednesday.
Hump day. Yeah. So thanks again. Look forward to chatting with everybody again next week. And we love you guys. Take care. Please be kind. Peace.
Bye, guys.